Welcome to Bunch Formation Forever, your newest college football podcast. I'm Chris Vannini, and I don't have a leaked halftime speech going around on the internet.
And I am David Ubben. I am not Deion Sanders' new starting quarterback. Media, get it right. Come on now. What are we doing?
Who could it be? Who could it be? Folks, we're here to talk week 3 already. We are already in week 3, really our 4th weekend of college football. A lot of big games to get to, a lot of stories to talk about. We are both going to be home this weekend, or at least in a home. We're not going to be at games. We won't be traveling. And so we're planning on Saturday night, probably after the night game, late in the night game. We will try to go live on YouTube, the Bunch Formation YouTube channel. I'm working on some banners to try to make it look a little nicer, but we've gotten some good little crowds the last couple times I've done this. Mostly been just me, but David and I will both be trying to do that. So stay tuned to the YouTube channel. Subscribe if you haven't yet. We'll get on, talk the days, college football, react to things, watch the late games, have some fun.
It's very hangouty. I've been busy the first couple weeks. I did pop in for like 5 minutes from the Clemson interview room. It's a little weird, but hey, we made it work. So this one will be a little more like, it's still hangouty, but like I'll be in my office probably, and Chris will be. You're in your parents' basement like a true internet writer.
I will be. Yeah, I'll be back home in Michigan this weekend just to see family. So if you haven't checked out the show notes, jump ahead. We got timestamps if you want to jump ahead to a game or anything else. Send all feedback to bunchformationpod@gmail.com. And we're also Bunch Formation on all of your social media. And David, once again, we don't have a new 5-star review. Folks, we see the numbers. We know how many people are listening more and more every day, really. And please give us a not only a 5-star rating, but a review as well. We'll read it on the show. We read every 5-star review. We got that 1-star review, presumably because someone didn't like Connor Stallions, but that's okay.
We've got good. Maybe it was Connor himself. Maybe we'll see. Maybe he paid someone to go do the review for him. Maybe it's possible.
We did get some comments though on Spotify, which we'll read here. We did also some on YouTube as well. They're not in the doc, but we got quite a few feedback on our rivalry songs talk from the last episode. If you didn't listen, David doesn't like schools that have songs about their rivals that you sing against somebody else, like Texas A&M.
Any reference to your rival when your rival's not there.
Yeah, like Missouri doing FKU, but you have to play Kansas. I completely disagreed. We got into it. Did we look at the results of your poll, by the way?
You won the poll. It was like 65% sided with you on the poll. Obviously, those results were biased and unscientific and not at all representative of society. So we'll just throw those poll results out. But Spotify, on the Spotify comments, mostly sided with me. It was a little bit split. We had Joe MV that said, "I'm with David on the rivalry fight song. As a Purdue alum, hearing IU sucks every kickoff was so annoying." This is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, it's not like the Texas A&M Texas fight song stuff is bad, but it does go back like, I don't know when those fights, at least probably 80 years, something like that, probably back to the World War era. And so that's lame, but at least that goes back. But some of this stuff is pretty new, and I hate it. So that's what I'm talking about.
It was all new at some point, and then eventually it's not new anymore.
I know,
start new traditions.
You got 70 years of this thing. Even though I don't like it, I respect it a little more. Like this, the Mr. Brightside thing is relatively new. First of all, I don't like the Killers. And then you add on.
By the way, you got some feedback for that. A lot of people jumped in and said the Killers slander was not. So a comment here from Adam Lichtenstein. Chris is correct about rivalries, and the Killers slander is wild. That was one comment we got.
Most milquetoast band of all time. What do the Killers offer you? I don't.
They are the most millennial. They're the most millennial band there is.
Except they're not good. The Killers, they're just lame. They have nothing to say. They're musically uninteresting. They give you nothing. Get the Killers out of here. Go listen to Radiohead.
We also had a comment on Spotify from Joseph Siski. Great episode. David is right on the fight songs. So you did have some defenders. Not so much on TikTok, where they were pretty much all negative. I'll just read one that kind of sums it up, which said, "L take Baldy."
That's pretty good. TikTok is the Gen Z playground. I'm out on all these people. Get out of here. No way.
One more email from Philip Krebs. I don't remember if I read this on the last episode or not, but said, I'm very glad you all are continuing the podcast. Always enjoy your well-reasoned takes. I'm a big fan of bold opinions as long as they are defensible in the court of logic. I'll say you defended your take on the rivalry songs. I don't agree with it, but you did defend it. So,
yeah.
Anyway, with that, before we get into the game previews, we're going to talk about the news, and there's actually quite a bit to get to. So we will start off with the media scrum.
That's why I don't read the newspaper. Because it's garbage.
We start with the Big 12, which announced this week that it was pulling an officiating crew from a game on Friday because they allowed Missouri to punt the ball after a touchdown early in the game against Kansas. Missouri would go on to win that game. Very weird situation. I didn't see the game live. I didn't see the punt. I assumed it had been after the safety. It wasn't.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was traveling to a game, so I didn't see this live. Reading up on it now, I can't believe this happened because I knew this rule.
So basically, Eli Drinkwitz asked the officials if he could punt after a kickoff, after a touchdown, because Missouri's coaches had noticed in warmups that Kansas players were having a little bit of trouble with the sun fielding the punts. So we asked them if they could punt, and the referees were basically like, yeah. And Eli was like, I knew it was against the rules, but they said yes. So, which is credit to him for just admitting that he completely played the officials.
Yeah,
but
I had no skin off Eli's back. This is insane.
And also, by the way, like Kansas did catch the ball, and they started at like the 40-yard line on the next drive. So it didn't ultimately like work or help. It actually ended up hurting Missouri. But it's wild that this happened, and talked to some people around the Big 12 about it. It's a big freaking deal. The coaches are pissed. It takes away a lot of the trust you have in the conference office and officials and everything. And so on one hand, there's that obviously it's a problem. But I do want to credit the Big 12 for being open and transparent about this. Stu Mandel and I wrote a story over the summer about the state of college football officiating and some high-profile controversial plays last year in which the referees and the conferences were basically kind of silent on most of it. Last year, Arkansas State beat Central Arkansas because the replay guy just straight up got it wrong. And the Sun Belt admitted they got it wrong, but wouldn't answer if the official had been punished in any type of way. And that was the reason I've been told by leagues and officials and various people is that they don't want to publicly rebuke officials in most situations because they don't want fans to go after the officials and social media and all that stuff. And on one hand, I get it, but on the other hand, you've got the NBA now with the 2-minute reports, and everybody knows every official's name. And sometimes that transparency is good, but it's a pretty big mistake. And the Big 12 is kind of trying to like reestablish confidence among its coaches. What did you think of this?
Well, the issue is this isn't a judgment call. This isn't was that pass interference, was that holding. This is just like knowing the rule book.
Correct.
And it seems obvious to me that so I was confused, like I said, because I thought this was after a safety. And I was like, I'm pretty sure you can punt after a safety, and most people do. But after a kickoff, if this was allowed, like you'd see it more often. I don't know why.
Well, I don't think you would see it because like you're going to kick it off farther than you're going to punt it.
Yeah, but some people might do some like chicanery with punts, or like if you had onside kicks or something, you might do something weird. Like it's the answer is obviously no, and it's crazy to me that on a crew, nobody raised a red flag and said, "Hey, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Do we need to double check on this?" So again, credit to Eli Drinkwitz for exploiting. I don't know if you can call it a loophole, but
creating a loophole.
This seems like a very basic rule, and like I said, the suspension is definitely warranted. It's just this is not a judgment call. This is not knowing the rule book, which is a problem for your officiating staff. And just the fact that it's such a weird request, the fact that they didn't have a conversation about it, it seems like somebody just said yes. And then nobody on the crew like spoke up. I'd like to talk to other guys on the crew. It's weird that they let this happen.
Yeah, I didn't see the play, so I don't fully know. I just based on talking to people around the conference about that, very surprising. I'll also want to credit though a lot of that story that I wrote, and I'll link to it in the show notes, was about transparency and how like the UFL, the former XFL, we're letting you listen in on the replay conversation. Like Dean Blandino's like talking through with the officials how they make a decision on replay. And credit to the ACC, last year they allowed the rules expert on the ACC network games, I think, to listen in and then relay that to the viewers. You can hear into the ACC replay booth now, which is great for transparency. I would have loved that in the LSU Clemson game with that touchdown that wasn't, and then there was that similar play, whatever the other game was.
Play with Nick Barber on Sunday,
the South Carolina. So transparent, like the call was bad. You can't let that happen. It's a problem. But I do think there are positives in the transparency about this in terms of at least acknowledging that. So we'll see what happens. The AP poll became a point of discussion this week online.
My favorite topic, as everyone knows.
So if you didn't hear or see what happened, one of the voters for the AP poll from Southern California, I believe she moved Florida up 2 spots after losing to USF. She later said in a video that she didn't really want to get into her process, but that it doesn't really matter in the end anyway. And this led to a whole bunch of outrage of people saying people who don't know ball shouldn't be doing this, or taking it so far as to say this is why the playoff can't have human people making decisions on the selection committee, just all over the place. I had 3 takes on this. One, ultimately, it doesn't really actually matter. This is why there are. This is well. Hold on. No, I'm saying one ballot does not alter the AP poll. That's why there's 60 of these. That's why
but it can move.
Wait.
One outlier can move a team one or two spots. To be
yes, but if it was just again one, the whole point of having so many voters is that outliers or contrarian ballots don't really kind of shake up the whole thing. That's the whole point. 2, if you made a mistake, just say it's a mistake. I'm guessing she probably made a mistake. And what happens in this is often the AP, this used to be Ralph's job, Ralph Russo, our colleague, he would reach back out to somebody whose ballot had something weird and say, hey, did you mean Florida, or did you mean to say Florida State or something like that? And they get it fixed. And this one, I guess, just they have somebody else doing it now. I'm guessing this one just slipped through. I think
it's rather obvious she missed the result of that game.
I think her comment in that going around is what made it worse. And 3, any comparison of this to the CFP selection committee that some people associated with the SEC were making is incredibly disingenuous. It is not at all the same thing.
That's a good tinfoil hat.
These are beat writers who are often traveling, who have to get their ballot in by 9 a.m. Eastern the next day, Sunday morning. This is not people who make their decision on a Tuesday days later with all these computers and former coaches and kind of stuff. It's not at all the same thing. But what did you make of this whole thing?
I got a lot of things. One, this is one of the reasons why I will never vote on any AP poll ever. I've told Ralph this many times. I will never vote. There's no upside. It only gets people mad, and it's extra work. Obviously, you're not paid for that. I get people that I guess like it, sort of. I don't know. I'll never do it. I have no desire to. 2, this is like a Rorschach test for misogyny in a lot of ways. That like there seemed to be an enhanced amount of anger because the voter in this case, and there were some kind of sketchy ballots as well. Obviously, this one was bad. Her not owning up to the mistake is a problem. Like it seems pretty obvious, just missed the results of the game. It happens. There's a ton of games happening. If you're covering one team, it's hard. Like the beat writer thing is very true. A lot of the beat writers, if you got a full day, you may only see like one game and some other stuff. It's hard. You got to look through the results. It's difficult. It's a big ask. To do the AP poll. And 2, or lastly, the like internet people who want to rile up their people and send them after this person. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
You know, this is so unnecessary. It's a lot of like internet clout and not seeing that other person as like, hey, you know, when you at this person and you know, like Danny Cannell is a good example of this. Like Florida State was not favorable on her ballot, whatever. Danny Cannell has a long history of Florida State. So you want to act this person and talk about how their ballot sucks in the AP poll, which doesn't have any effect on the playoff, any real effect on Florida State's anything.
It's week 2. It's week 2. We're a month and a half away from we're a
harass her. Why do you want to do that? What's the be better? There's enough vitriol and nasty stuff on the internet. You don't need to add to it. And when you just stoke the fires, you're doing that basically to gain clout at the expense of someone else's. I don't know if I'd say mental health, but people don't need to be reading oh, kill yourself. Oh, you're the worst. Oh, get out of the business. What's the point, in Florida, going after someone and sending people after them? It's just,
Florida State fans notably calm and measured online, famously.
Well, yes, they've had their moments, but I think a lot of other fan bases have had their moments as well. I think for anybody, when you have listen, the ballot was bad. We know that. That's fine.
But again,
have a little perspective. Come on.
Correct. Yes. It didn't need that kind of reaction. Maybe it's because it's week 2 and we had nothing else to talk about. But her comments were not good. If it's a mistake, she should just say it's a mistake. And to say if you want to think it doesn't matter in the end, then you shouldn't vote, because most of the people who do that vote take it seriously. That thing is 80 years old, that poll. There is a lot of history that goes with it. No, it does not dramatically impact the college football playoff selection committee, as we've gone through several times, where it's always the opposite. The committee will then come out with its first ranking, which is sometimes quite different at the top, and then the AP poll will then adjust to that. So it's really completely opposite. I love doing my 136 rankings. I spend all day Sunday, hours going through it, looking at every score and doing all that kind of stuff. I enjoy it. I know every single person, all 200 comments on it, are not telling me, hey, you did a great job with the rankings. Nobody ever comments and says you did a good job with your ballot. But we turn that into content because I enjoy the discussion, and I'm very
like it. And also, you're not a beat writer for one team. Your job is to kind of watch everything. You and I, we pretty much watch everything. So I have a pretty good feel, and I watched most of the relevant games. If there's a game that I'm not watching, if there was a good example last week. I mean, Clemson was probably a good example. I didn't have Clemson on my thing. They go down 16-0. I have Clemson on one of my screens. They go up, whatever. They took the lead. I kind of turned it off. But you're paying attention to everything. If you're a beat writer for one team, you are not. That's not your job. You might be score watching, kind of, but that's not your job. The AP poll is difficult and it is thankless in a lot of ways.
And you're not paid. You're not paid for it either, by the way.
No, I respect the people who do it. I just respectfully, I don't want that smoke. So
it's just a lot of mistakes all around. Look, I mean, everybody was mad at me for still having LSU number 1 on my ranking this week. I just didn't. There's nothing week 2 Grambling, La Tech. It's nothing that I care enough to switch what I have. And I'm very upfront. People, if you read the rankings, please read the introduction. I'm weighing heavily on results. LSU won at Clemson on the road. To me, that was better than winning against Texas. You can disagree, but that's the reason I try to lay it all out there. Ultimately, nobody handled this well. I come out of this not liking any of it or anybody in it. Just everybody just kind of calm down. I'm sure she will be more careful with her ballot moving forward. Relax.
Yeah. Relax is good advice most of the time.
Yeah. So, all right, let's go to Steve Sarkisian. The Texas head coach was asked about something we've talked about, which is Arch Manning grimacing when he throws. This was caught on tape by some folks. Steve Sarkisian was asked about it, basically dismissed and said Arch is not dealing with any arm pain. And on the idea of grimacing faces, says, I've never filmed any of you when you guys are using the bathroom, so I don't know what kind of faces you're making. Which is hilarious and a difficult image to get out of.
Funny, but it also kind of got more attention on this Arch.
It got a lot more attention on it.
Not just so I buy. I didn't. The clip that was going around of him grimacing, I don't know which throw that was, so it might have just been.
It was a throw that was at a dude's leg. It was a bad.
So that's plausible. It's not just that; it's the arm angles. His arm angles have changed from last year that make you think something going on there, and that he hasn't been good. That you're playing a different game. So I don't know. I mean, it's a long season. I think game 1. That's as high a degree of difficulty as you can walk into. He didn't look good in the first half against San Jose State. Picked it up in the second half. Ultimately was okay. You know, it's funny, but I my concern level for the Arch thing is like 6.5 out of 7 at this point. It's not good.
Why out of 7? Why is your scale out of
7 out of 10? I'm saying in terms of like this is going to be like he might be kind of average in year 1. So but like go back and look at Joe Burrow his first year at LSU. Like it could be one of those deals too. We'll see.
So I think it was Horns 24/7 may have like found a bunch of pictures of him from like high school as well. When he kind of had grimaces when he throws. I think some people think
a full grimace gate. I missed some of that.
Yeah, and some people have pointed out like he's grimacing because he knows it's a bad throw, and he's reacting to it's a bad throw, which I think is all very possible. I do not know how Arch is feeling. The one thing I come back to is that Texas absolutely downplayed the seriousness of Quinn Ewers' injuries a year ago. And so that is just all, it's just to the point where you can't necessarily, you normally can't trust what a coach says about an injury, but specifically Texas quarterbacks. We just went through this. So ears and eyes.
By the way, do you know if Cam Rising is playing this week or not?
Yeah. We talked to Kyle. Remember we asked Kyle Winningham about that. He did not enjoy the last couple of years dealing with that. All right. Ubben, you wanted to say something here about Deion Sanders lecturing the media. I actually don't know.
Yeah, we missed. So Pete Thamel reported that Pete Thamel reported that Ryan Staub was going to start for Colorado. It seemed like that was likely the case. Like they kind of gave him the keys in the second half against Delaware. They came back, and one of the reporters asked him, like, "Can you confirm that?" He said, "I'm not confirming nothing. You guys know that. You know, this is the problem with the media. Everybody wants to be first. Nobody wants to be right. I haven't made that decision yet. Oh, but also Staub's taking the majority of the first team reps." It's like, all right, come on, okay, like. Ryan Staub's going to start for Colorado. I think that seems pretty obvious, but whether or not that's, accurate or not, or explicitly the case, we'll see. I did watch Deion's coach's show on Wednesday. He did say, I know what I'm going to do. It's pretty obvious what he's going to do. I think it'll be interesting if Staub struggles in some spots, what he does. But Deion does weird things. I mean, you forget he started a walk-on at center last year. He's kind of unpredictable. And ultimately, he leans toward production. He likes guys that stick it out, that are loyal. I think he's got a lot of appreciation for Staub, but the talent is not necessarily there compared to what Juju Lewis can bring to the table, what Caden Salter has already done, the experience that he has. This is going to be an interesting situation, but just Deion lecturing the media on a story that was probably true was funny to me.
I did notice the funny post-game thing, which I missed, which was Staub was talking about playing and doing well, and he started his response with "I had a dream," blah blah blah, and then Deion wraps up and says something like, "We got Martin Luther Staub over here."
Yeah,
that was legitimately very funny.
How do you feel about Staub hitting the Shador after?
I get it. Yeah, Colorado. His number is retired at Colorado. That you're honoring a legend right there.
I think you got to find your own thing. I don't know. That's like if Kenny Hill is hitting the Money Manziel. Like I think you got to do something your own. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see that situation.
One other thing, which I alluded to in my intro, Matt Rhule's halftime speech was "quote unquote" leaked onto social media through Will Compton, famous former Nebraska player. Yeah, former Nebraska player, doing a lot of media stuff. And in this leaked halftime speech
in 4K,
which is filmed in 4K, right in players' faces, and also includes bleeps of the swear words, Matt Rhule delivers what actually was perfectly good, enjoyable halftime speech. My only thing with this was calling it leaked when it very clearly just came from the Nebraska video team to a former Nebraska player to put out. If you're Nebraska, like, just put it out yourself. I don't know why we had to like frame this as leaked when it was very obvious what happened here.
I don't know. I am still kind of a Kirby Smart leaked halftime speech truther.
But see, like that's a halftime speech that's leaked where the curse words aren't bleeped. Yes. And it's either just audio or it's like a phone facing down and you don't see anything. Yeah, like that's how you make it look leaked.
Awesome.
They do.
So I'm like, every time I
hear
it,
there was the floor. There was the floor.
The one before the cocktail party that he gave. I should listen to that every morning before I start work. Basically, it's strong, and it always makes him look good. There's never like anything in there that ages poorly or anything like that. So I'm a little bit of a Kirby Smart halftime speech truther or pregame speech truther, but this one was very funny. The leaked was it made me smile.
Do you remember the Bo Davis one?
Oh, now that's the king of leaked speeches. Bo Davis on the bus after Iowa State. That if you've ever interacted with Bo Davis, he's just like a big guy.
He's a defensive line coach. He was at Texas at the time, and he's basically just calling everybody on the team soft, which
also, Chris, it should be noted, a member of the Bald Brotherhood. Shout out to Bo Davis.
Sure. And ultimately, like, he was correct.
Yes.
And Texas got not soft and started winning a lot of games. I think Bo Davis went back to LSU.
It was recently a big turning point for the program. But Bo Davis, man, that's a legendary moment in Texas football history. It kind of was the turning point for Texas to be back, quite frankly.
Yeah. But Matt Rhule doing a good job at Nebraska. We both like him. But he's got a podcast going now. He's got a Pat McAfee segment going now. It's a lot going on
our space.
There's a lot going on with Matt Rhule in the media space right now. But if anybody wants to leak me a professionally done halftime speech, please send that to Bunch Formation Pod.
I'm gonna leak my pre-show speech
gmail.com
before we do the show. I just do a hype up speech for Chris before the show. It's gonna leak, but we'll leak it to the Ari and Andy show.
All right, and with that, we're gonna finally get into some games. We're gonna preview and make some picks.
You are looking live.
Let's give some records here. So David and I do picks for The Athletic on the website against the spread. We don't do every game. I think we do like 7 games a week or something like that.
Yeah, one of the fantasy editors like picks the games. I got to do mine today. I haven't done them yet. By the way.
I need to do I was going to do the podcast first, but David went 7-2 last week. I went 5-4. On the season, David is 14-11. I am 12-13. So we will keep track of that and figure out something at some point. The winner's going to get something, or the loser's going to have to do something. If you have any ideas on what the loser of our picks should do, send that to bunchformationpod@gmail.com. So we will start off with Georgia going to Tennessee. Georgia, a 3.5-point favorite. This line started at like 7.
Yeah, people jumped on Tennessee money early.
It has come down people jumped on Tennessee. David, you know these two teams very well. What do you think?
The thing that jumps out about this game is Georgia has there's no secret to stopping Tennessee's defense. You got to have better personnel, and you got to be able to pressure with 4. If you go back to that 22 season when Tennessee was lighting the world on fire, it's probably the best offense that Josh Heupel has had ever. They just couldn't protect Hendon Hooker. It was in the rain. It was all this stuff. And Georgia was getting pressure with 4 guys. You know, they had Jalen Carter. They had Jordan Davis. It was a mess. I don't know that Georgia has the same guys, the quality even in the secondary when they had, Keely Ringo, some of those guys. I don't know what the same qualities in the secondary, the quality up front. I don't know what to make of Georgia yet this season. We haven't really seen them be tested. This will be a big test for them. Tennessee, I don't love their personnel at receiver. We still are kind of seeing what Joey Aguilar is, but it's going to be an interesting test for both of these teams. And this will show me kind of where Georgia's personnel is at, because there a lot's been made this week of like Tennessee can't do anything offensively against Georgia. It's because they don't have better players. When you don't have better players and you can't win one-on-ones consistently up front or on the edges, that's a problem. And when they can stop the run with 5 guys, you're not going to be able to do much against this Georgia front. I don't know that they're as dominant. They're obviously still going to be good. Kirby, I'm sure, has got some curveballs coming. But it's tough to do anything deceptive against this offense. Because of the wide splits, you can't really disguise that much. Playing the video game actually helped me understand that, because the Baylor offense was kind of popularized like after the video game kind of died, where you could get these schemes in. You really can't disguise much because everything's out of position. So anyway, you got to just win your matchups. And if whoever wins those matchups, it's 11-on-11 every time, they're going to win the ball game. And Tennessee has lost a lot of those in this game. So they're going to need Joey Aguilar to be really, really good. I lean wanting to go that Tennessee can win this thing outright. I'm going to go ahead and take them to win this game reluctantly. Just because it's more, I don't know that I believe in the upside of this Georgia team. Like, I think they're high, like their floor is really high. But these are going to be tough games. Tennessee's going to be charged up. It's the first real big test for them. Gunnar Stockton, I don't think he's ever played in an environment like this before. It's going to be hyped. So I'm going to take Tennessee to win this thing outright because I just don't know that Georgia has the same amount of dogs that they've had in previous years.
Kirby Smart's been stuffing Josh Heupel in a locker every time that they meet. And look, Georgia's offensive line last week struggled against Austin Peay. They've got injuries on the line, that they've dealt with. So like, I don't necessarily love long-term Georgia as well, but I just like the matchup here as well because Tennessee, Joey Aguilar, yes, some of the numbers look nice, but you've played Syracuse and nobody, and Georgia's going to be a completely different thing. And this is the type of game where I wonder if Joey Aguilar gets back to his interception type of ways that he was at Appalachian State.
I mean, he's probably going to throw one. That's probably fair.
So Georgia 3.5. I think it's come down so far now that I feel pretty good about taking Georgia to win and to cover as well, just based on historically how it goes. And I don't know if Joey Aguilar is the guy. Now, this probably ends up being a low scoring game more than likely. By the way, it's 3:30 ABC is this game in that prime window. I'm going to go Georgia, but this is the game where we find out kind of what these teams are. We're at that time of year now. All right. Everyone's going to kind of have played a game or two against a notable team, and we start to figure out who people are. We don't know who Georgia is. We just don't know. Gunnar Stockton,
I think this is a tough test for them. These games are hard, so we'll see.
I mean, Georgia's offense, by the way, Gunnar Stockton's like air yards per throw and everything, very, very low. But it's also just possible they're just not doing anything. That is something Georgia has very much done before. Looked ugly against some bad teams because they're saving it for the good teams. So I'm going to go with Georgia. Next game, Texas A&M at Notre Dame. This is 7:30 at night on NBC. Notre Dame, a 6.5-point favorite in this game. I'm looking forward to this one. Dave, what do you think?
I am too. If you like line play, this game is for you. This is going to be an absolute slobber knocker up front. These two teams are so good on their lines. I am excited to watch this one. I think it's going to be a huge test for CJ Carr. A&M's got a lot of good personnel. I think they're obviously going to disguise some stuff. I think they're going to be much better on the defensive end than Miami was. And it's going to be interesting to see what they saw on that Miami tape and how they apply it to this game. A&M's looked a little shaky from time to time. They didn't look great early against UTSA. But I'm high on this A&M team because of that play on the lines. I like their receiver group. They got a lot of speed out there. Marcel Reed's got to grow as a passer. But it's going to be a really big test for Notre Dame, who I'm really not in on, just mainly because outside of Jeremiah Love, I don't know what they really have that scares you. And I think CJ Carr is going to be kind of a work in progress. So I like A&M in this game to cover but not win. But, man, this is going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be decided on a few plays. It's just going to be so physical. I mean, Notre Dame, that Miami game was already pretty physical. This was going to be even more so. I really like A&M to, be kind of in the mix to get to Atlanta this year. And I don't know if they win this one, but they definitely can give me the dog on the road.
Both these teams are going to run the ball up, but that Miami game was extremely physical, but Notre Dame did not hold up well physically on either side. Their offensive line, which is supposed to be the best offensive line in the country, did not play well. You didn't run the ball well. You didn't run the ball much, period. And you end the game getting sacked twice. Very curious if Texas A&M just lights up the blitz here and really comes after CJ Carr, because Notre Dame had a game plan last or 2 weeks ago of get the ball out of his hands quickly. CJ Carr, one read and go. And that's the type of play that works against a blitz. You throw a bubble screen if you think a blitz is coming. So very curious how Mike Elko, the former Notre Dame defensive coordinator, plans this for Texas A&M. In terms of the Aggies defense, they lost those two guys inside on the line. They're not stopping the run very well this year. UTSA went over 200 yards. Utah State's final numbers weren't good, but that was because of sacks. Their leading running back had 5 yards per carry. Another had 4 yards per carry, Utah State. So maybe this is a game where Jeremiah Love goes for 200 or something like
Could
that.
be. That's going to happen at some point. I don't know that it's going to happen against A&M. I feel like Mike Elko's better than that, but he wouldn't be the first A&M coach that people thought was better than that and disappointed them. But
I didn't think Notre Dame played well at all against Miami, and yet there they were right at the end with a chance. So I
just don't think Miami's that good, frankly. I think that's
I do think Miami's good. Well, that's if Miami's not good, and Notre Dame was lucky to, you're down 21-7 in that game at one point. I'm gonna go A&M to win and to cover.
Okay.
I think they're able to run the ball. Marcel Reed does some stuff, and I just don't know if Notre Dame gets much going, especially early in the season. Again, CJ Carr's second game here. He's still figuring things out. I'll go with A&M. Clemson at Georgia Tech. Clemson is a 3.5-point favorite. This game is at noon Eastern on ESPN. This will be the game right after College Game Day. Probably the best game, I think, in that noon window. This game's, is it technically a rivalry? I don't know, but
I don't think so.
These teams have history. What do you think?
Georgia Tech is such a good measuring stick game because they want to beat the crap out of you every single game, and it tests the mettle of your team on the lines in a way that's revealing in a lot of ways. But Georgia Tech is still so far from being an elite team, but they just want to mash you. And can Clemson hold up in a game like that? I'm still in on Clemson reluctantly. I still think there is a really, really good team in there that has to figure some stuff out, mostly offensively. But defensively, this is a game where your front guys, Parker, Woods, those guys have got to be on their, playing their best. Because if you can win that battle in the front seven, you are going to beat Georgia Tech. They don't have the guys outside. Haynes King isn't a good enough passer to really beat you. Clemson is built to stop them, but that's been an issue in the past. So I'm gonna put my Clemson stock on the table here and go with Clemson to win and do so in a way that gets people talking positively about Clemson after a Saturday in which they haven't the first 2 weeks. Obviously, a really ugly loss at home to LSU, and then Troy. The final score looked okay, but you're down 16-0 in that ball game against a Troy team that's not exactly a team in the G5 that everybody's talking about. We'll see what they are as a finished product. But I'm gonna say Clemson figures some stuff out here. But this can help your season go one way or the other. If they lose this game, I think 8-4 Clemson is a real thing we got to start talking about. But you win this game, and suddenly the playoff starts looking more like, all right, well, we'll kind of see how they win this game. So give me Clemson. I will lay the points here. Clemson -3.5.
This game does have a rivalry page on Wikipedia, by the way. What do you think the current win streak is for Clemson in this series?
It can't be very long. I feel like they lost to Georgia Tech not that long ago. Or I'm thinking the Florida State game. So maybe they've won 6 in a row in this game, maybe? I don't know.
9 in a row.
Interesting.
That is more than I thought. Most of them not close either. There was the 14-8 game in 2021, but in 2020, Clemson put up 73. They won 73-7.
You got a lot of triple option in there, which Clemson is going to dominate on. And then you got the Jeff Collins area in there, which Clemson is going to dominate on.
No. Paul Johnson was doing. There was a year that Georgia Tech won, looks like 5 out of 6 from 07 to 11 before kind of Dabo got it going.
But that's pre-Clemson being a juggernaut and starting to recruit top 15 teams. Top 15 teams.
My thing, I picked Clemson number 2, picked them to reach the championship game. I don't want to quit them yet, but this is the week where I make that decision. The offense is just not working in a way it should. The offensive line, a veteran offensive line group, not looking great. Cade Klubnik, veteran guy, it's not looking good right now. They need to come out and look like a team that's came into this going to be favored in every game to win the ACC. Georgia Tech, Haynes King, by the way, didn't play last week. He's going to play this week. There's nothing indicating he won't. Is he banged up, do we think? Is that going to matter? On the road as well, I love Georgia Tech in this spot. You said you're going Clemson
and
playing the points?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say, okay, last time Clemson. I'm going to go Clemson too.
Okay.
If you don't do it, I'm out.
I'm going to be forced to be out on Clemson if they lose this thing, I think.
Yeah.
So.
All right. I put this on there late. Wisconsin at Alabama. Alabama is a 20.5-point favorite. This game is noon on ABC. Vegas isn't thinking it's going to be close. Wisconsin has not been great under Luke Fickell. Mm-hmm. The game was heavily Alabama last year. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know that we're going to learn that much about either of these teams necessarily. Alabama last year was not very good, went up to Madison. I mean, kind of broke Wisconsin's season, hurt their quarterback, was a much better team. I mean, you'd like to see if Alabama wins this thing convincingly that, you can be that team, and we'll see if they are. But, Wisconsin was a little slow out of the gates against the Middle Tennessee State team that got dominated by Austin Peay earlier this year. Defensively, I'm curious. This is a pretty good defense that they've got going here. That seems like a lot of points for an Alabama team that I'm not sure I'm all in on. It's a lot. And I have a lot of questions just about the state of Alabama. They don't have a game breaker like Jalen Milroe that, if everything goes wrong, can still make a play. So I'm gonna.
Well, I mean, not a quarter. I mean, they have Ryan Williams, but he's been in concussion protocol, and I don't know yet. As of recording, sounds like he's okay. Actually, today, Kalen DeBoer said he is expected to play.
Yeah. I mean, anytime you can get a receiver that hasn't had a 100-yard game in 10 games, you got to do it. So. I'm going to go with Wisconsin relatively confidently here, and so I look forward to Bama winning this game 41-3. But it just feels like a lot of points for a Bama team that has not looked great on either side of the ball. So give me the Badgers with the points.
Do you think it's going to be Alabama wins convincingly, though, just not by 21?
I think Alabama wins the game in a way that they're clearly the better team, but is not necessarily dominant, 31-20, something like that. Maybe not that high scoring. Maybe 24-14, something like that. 24-17. It's hard. It's hard for me to be in that to watch this and be like, oh, and at any point in the game think, oh, Bama's going to lose, which I thought that for 2/3 of the Florida State game.
Yeah, but Florida State also comes into that game with just athletes and stuff that Wisconsin just doesn't have. Yeah. And Billy Edwards.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think I'm going to feel that way against Wisconsin.
The quarterback, Billy Edwards Jr., his status is he's still in doubt to play the game as of Tuesday. So Wisconsin's not ready to rule him out, but it sounds unlikely, at least based on what I'm reading. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say Alabama wins just because I don't think Wisconsin has any juice right now. It's not looking great. And Alabama the offensive line plays the way it should, physically dominates them. And we start to wonder if Luke Fickell finds his way onto the hot seat at Wisconsin. That is my pick. Mm-hmm. All right, backyard brawl time. Pitt at West Virginia. Pitt a 6.5-point favorite. The last time Rich Rodriguez coached in this game, he lost to 13-9, 2007.
13-9, 18 years ago.
Mm-hmm. We interviewed him on our previous show, and Rich Rod called that the worst loss of his career. Said he coached too conservatively and agreed with your notion that if Pat White had not gotten hurt, West Virginia perhaps wins that national championship. Sorry, West Virginia fans, to bring up that pain. I know we are not the only ones who are going to be doing it.
It's Rich Rod. It's the backyard brawl. It hasn't happened in 18 years with Rich Rod at the helm. I mean, it's going to come up. It's okay.
West Virginia lost to Ohio last week. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting spot because anytime you get a team that's not terrible and you just hear how much they suck for a week against a team that's not great, I mean, you get some surprising results. The problem here is I think there's more upside to Pitt than people think there is.
I think
Pitt. This Pitt team might be kind of dangerous in a way that just you don't necessarily want to see them in the ACC. But I just think in a rivalry game in Morgantown, everyone's been talking about how much you suck for a week. Rich Rod's a pretty good motivator, even as he gets up there in age. I'm gonna go with respect to solid verbal. I'm gonna go with the throw the records out game here, and I think it's a little different in the brawl. Rich Rod obviously has some has some unfinished business here. I don't have any good football reason here. I think West Virginia gets off the mat. I think they find something. They can slow down Pitt offensively, figure out some stuff against Randy Bates' defense, and muck this game up. I like West Virginia to win this game outright.
Really? Wow.
13-9. Yeah.
We haven't seen. Pitt has played Duquesne and Central Michigan, so it's not like there's a ton to go off of, but they have looked every bit as explosive as we hoped they would be coming in. I just don't think West Virginia has the firepower. I think Pitt's going to be able to score, and I don't think West Virginia just has the horses to keep up with what it has.
I don't either. That's the thing. I think there's just weird stuff that happens in this game, and Morgantown is very underrated as a tough place to play. Like when they get ramped up, it's wild out there. So, I think the motivation to want to sing Country Roads in Morgantown with Rich Rod, that's a big thing. So we'll see. Football wise, I agree with you. I just think it's college football. Weird things happen. I think we're going to see some weird stuff in this backyard brawl.
All right, we go to what might be the biggest game in the history of the CW. We've got USF going to Miami. This game is at 4:30 Eastern on the CW. Miami is a 16.5-point favorite. David, what do you think?
I'm just not so sure about Miami yet. I don't know that I'm all in on. Obviously, we talked about earlier. I don't know that I think Notre Dame is like the greatest team in the world. I think they're kind of one-dimensional, as good as they are on the lines. USF is just scrappy, and I think they're going to figure some stuff out. The question I have with USF is when you have a win like that, can you stay engaged? Can you, if you're Alex Golish, I think that dynamic is very real. Can you explain to your team, hey, we got another team coming, next week that now you've got their attention. Now, they're taking you seriously, and 16.5 is a lot of points, but I liked how USF held up on the lines, especially defensively against Florida. I do think Miami is better than Florida. I think USF covers this. I felt like USF had a good shot to win that game last week coming in. I think we're going to know pretty early on, if they can do okay on the lines, they've got some dynamic pieces. I think they can do some stuff, and they were able to obviously win that game. So I think USF covers this. I don't think USF is a flash in the pan. I think they cover it. I don't think they get all the way, but that's a lot of points for Miami. And Miami, they've had their own big win already this season. We'll see how up they are for USF. But I think for USF, can you still play the chip on your shoulder, little brother card when everyone who's anyone is writing about how great you are this week and how this is the quintessential G5 program and you're doing all this stuff? That's a real dynamic within locker rooms.
It's also the kind of thing that makes you think Miami is not going to overlook this team. They are very aware of how everybody is talking about USF, and that kind of gets your mind right. USF had 7 tackles for loss against Florida. It's the defense that has been the story. As much as we all like to talk about Alex Golish's offense and Byron Brown, the quarterback, it's the defense that has been dominating through 2 games against Boise State and Florida State. Defense usually travels. I'm going to go USF to cover here. I don't know yet how explosive Miami is in terms of putting up a ton of points. This seems like the kind of team that might be able to more grind you down. I like Miami to win the game, but maybe by 10, 14 points. And they just kind of keep USF at arm's length kind of the whole way.
I think there might be some nervous moments early. I think Todd Orlando, he's pretty aggressive. Getting in Carson Beck's face, making him make some fast decisions, seeing how his progression is, I think will be really interesting. It's going to be a test for them. This is going to be a really, really interesting game. I could see USF up 10-0 after the first quarter, and you're like, whoa, that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah. Speaking of the state of Florida, Florida Gators going to LSU. Florida is a 7.5-point underdog. This game, a lot on the line, it feels like, for Billy Napier here. he's had some good fortune with LSU last year. What do you think?
This is going to be really interesting because LSU right now is ranked number 3. They're still number 1 in your rankings, right?
LSU's number 1, but they moved up to number 1 because they beat Clemson and nothing in week 2. Nobody played anything to change that. This game, by the way, 7:30 ABC. This will be your big night game. This will probably be the game we go live on Bunch Formation After Dark YouTube, probably after this one.
That's fine that LSU's that high. I don't know. There's not really a case for anybody else to be higher. But having watched that LSU team in person, I'm kind of like, like they don't wow you. And I think that's something against LSU. I think that's just the state of college football right now. There's not really a dominant team. So Florida's good enough to win this game. They have enough talent to win this game. You might get a DJ Lagway Superman performance and he can win this game. The question is, like, Billy Napier already rallied this program once. He already got this team off the mat once. And now, in a year where people were kind of expecting you to take the next step, you didn't just lose a heavyweight, bout. You lost a game to a team that you should have physically dominated in USF. And you lost it because of dumb mistakes, and you lost the battle on the line of scrimmage. That's wild. And so it's sort of a test for what Florida team shows up. And is this team still invested? I think they still will be. I don't think LSU is that great. Again, this is a great buy low spot on Florida. So I'm going to go with Florida to cover here. I don't know that I buy them being able to win. I think you got to do some special stuff.
I mean, 7.5. They can win. If you're picking them to cover, you're picking them within 7 points, which means you think they can win.
If I'm going to take a dog, usually I'm going to take them outright. I just don't think that Florida can finish the job here. But I don't think LSU is like blow you off the field good. So give me Florida and the points, but I don't think they win this game outright.
What's weird is that LSU offensively has been a mess. Like that. That is not what we expected coming in. The defense has been surprisingly pretty good. It's the offense, especially against Louisiana Tech last week, where you're like, ooh, our friend Bill Connolly, his SP plus has Florida covering by 3 points, so he thinks it's going to be close as well.
Chris, I do recall that you sent me a text last week saying that Bill Connolly's SP plus, which he will tell you many times is not predictive.
But no, it is somewhat predictive.
Well, he had the SP plus had SMU beating Baylor by double digits. I believe he texted me when I said I think Baylor's going to win that game.
Well, I went against SP plus and everything and went 5-4, so it probably went 4-5. So who really knows? It's another one of those do I really want to trust Florida again? I think just the game, they have all the talent. This is a team that should be able to win this game. I could 100% see them just coming out and lighting it on fire and being like, we came back, we stayed together, we won that game. 2 weeks of LSU now where I see that offense and I'm like, against the Florida front, I'm gonna, I'll say, I'll pick, I think I might do the same. I'll pick Florida to cover, LSU to win. I don't feel great about it, but that's one of those games we talk about all the big games here. That's one of those games where if I was actually putting money on a team, I'm not touching that game. I do not feel anything strongly about Florida to make a decision. All right. Vanderbilt at South Carolina. Interesting line here. South Carolina is a 5.5 point favorite
at home.
Both of these teams have played Virginia Tech. South Carolina played them close at neutral site. Vanderbilt blew them out on the road with a big second half last week. Dave, what do you think?
I want to believe in South Carolina. I love the talent. Obviously, the top end talent. Any game South Carolina plays, they're going to have 2 or 3 of the best players on the field. I just think if you're South Carolina and you are what people think you are, you don't lose this game. If you want to be taken seriously as a SEC title contender, you don't lose this game. I think you got to win this game. Williams-Brice, by the way, outside of the elite atmospheres, the Penn State, whatever, Oregon, Tennessee, whoever you want to put in that LSU, whoever you want to put in that top tier. South Carolina is like the top of the second tier, where it's not like the best, but the fans bring it. It's bigger than you think. It is loud in there. So I Vanderbilt is kind of a weird test case for you, because if you don't show up, this Vandy team, as currently constructed, will absolutely make you pay for it. But you're still a much better team if you're South Carolina. I think they show that this week. I'm scared to do it, but I think South Carolina gets the win here and covers. I think they win this game by about 10. I respect this Vandy team. They are a bear to prepare for. They do a lot of interesting stuff offensively. They're very similar to the team they were last year. And if you ask Virginia Tech, certainly much improved. But I think South Carolina can get the job done here. South Carolina didn't play very well against Virginia Tech. And, while Vanderbilt dominated them in the second half, they were down double digits at halftime. I like South Carolina to get the job done here and take care of business at home.
South Carolina won this game 28-7 last year between these two teams.
That matchup stuff matters too.
It does.
Because these are two teams that are very there's not very different from where they were a year ago.
Well, I think South Carolina is just not as good as they were a year ago. They lost a couple of key pieces, and I haven't seen enough pieces that have stepped up to replace Kyle Kennard and some of those guys. I'm going to go Vanderbilt covers. You want to talk about environments? They were just on the road at Virginia Tech, a very tough environment, and dominated a second half. I'm going to say Vanderbilt covers. I'm going to say Vanderbilt wins outright. What they did against Virginia Tech really had me thinking like this team is focused and together, and we know Diego Pavia in these situations can play very well. If South Carolina, wins this game 28-7, one of those types of things, then I will start to take them seriously again in terms of what they can be. I'm just not there yet. Virginia Tech in many ways gave that game away 2 weeks ago. Now, you could say it was week one and it just takes time. And maybe that's the case. But a lot of these teams we've talked about here, it's really their first real test. And that makes it very difficult to gauge, again, kind of what these teams are, how I rank them and whatnot. So we will see. Two teams that we actually have seen a good amount of in terms of notable games. Duke going to Tulane. You put this one on here. It's the Darian Mensah Bowl. The former Tulane quarterback who transferred to Duke, getting paid between $3 to $4 million, is now coming back to Tulane. Duke's a 1.5-point favorite. This game is at 8:00 Eastern, ESPN 2. I like Tulane, and I like Tulane straight up in this game. I think the Green Wave are legit. I think the defense is really, really strong. I think Jake Retzlaff is getting better as he gets more reps. I think it's been a weird couple of weeks for Tulane. You blow out Northwestern. That's partly because Northwestern had 5 turnovers. You play weirdly close against South Alabama, but pull away. You're at home. I like Tulane kind of getting refocused back on track and winning here. You could say the same about Duke. They had all those turnovers against Illinois. Maybe they're better than that, but what do you think?
Well, I would say that if Tulane asks to wear a special uniform, just let them, Duke. That'd be my number one piece of advice. I'm with you. It's crazy that Mensah, so soon after all this is happening, is coming back to New Orleans. But we got Darian Mensah coming back to Tulane. Next week we've got Jackson Arnold going back to Oklahoma. So we got some nice little quarterback drama. The odds were decent that was going to happen. That this is happening is kind of crazy. So
yes,
Darian Mensah said it was going to be kind of weird. John Sumrall, he's basically said, "Hey, I love the kid. I wish nothing the best for the kid." I think he understands the business. I talked to him for a good bit at American Media Days. Like, he knows what the game is. They weren't going to, be able to hold on to him the kind of year he had last year. They end up with Jake Retzlaff. I would say that there's a reasonable case that that's an upgrade for them at quarterback. It is close either way. He's been really good. I think Tulane wins this game. I think they're better on the lines, quite frankly. And Tulane wins this because of that. Not so much because of Retzlaff or Mensah, but because they're going to win this game at the line of scrimmage. So give me the Green Wave.
Big weekend for the American, and we'll get to that in a second here. Let's run through just some other games of note, and if we have any thoughts. Arkansas at Ole Miss. This is the game where we kind of figure out, all right, is Arkansas... they've looked good through 2 weeks, but they haven't really played anybody. This is kind of a test. What do What are you looking for in this?
I'm not. I mean, I think Ole Miss is. I think Ole Miss, people are kind of sleeping on them a little bit this year. I think they can be a team that contends for the SEC. So, yeah, I like Ole Miss here to win big. Arkansas has not really fared well in some of these big tests, especially on the road. So, give me Ole Miss there.
Texas State at Arizona State. This game will be on TNT. Remember, this was a Thursday game, I think, last year when Arizona State came to Texas State.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That was a good game. That was kind of the Sam Leavitt breakout game, wasn't it?
It was. Now, Arizona State's coming off the loss to Mississippi State. Texas State's coming off the rivalry win against UTSA. Could be very interesting. Texas State's quarterback, they really like him, the young kid. Keep an eye on that. Kansas State, if you have any thoughts on any of these, jump in. Kansas State at Arizona.
I liked how Arizona State's coaching staff has responded to a really bad loss. Like everything Kenny has had to say after the game. Brian Ward did some interviews where he's like, yeah, like it's back on me. Like, and Kenny talking about some of those calls. Like, I think this is a staff that's like really well built for like the internet age and for coaching these kinds of players where it's just, I think they've handled it well because that was a bad loss. And I think it seems clear that Arizona State is not probably going to be the same team that they were last year, but I think this is a team that's built well to respond from a pretty bad loss on the road.
Kansas State at Arizona on Friday night. K-State, time to see what you got because this is an Arizona team we thought would be near the bottom of the Pac-12, but maybe they've
What league,
around.
Chris?
I'm sorry, the Big 12, Pac-12 forever, man. They've looked pretty good through a couple of games. We'll see if Kansas State has anything left in this game for sure. Oklahoma going to Temple. Oklahoma, a 21.5-point favorite. If you're wondering why this game happened, I talked to somebody who was involved in this, and our pal Ralph Russo has a story coming out about it. Basically, like a while back, like 10 years ago or so, Temple thought it was going to be building an on-campus stadium, and it wanted to have a big blue blood come there. Everybody told them no. Oklahoma said yes. Oklahoma said it would be fun for their fans in the Northeast to come to Philly. This game is not being played at Temple's on-campus stadium because Temple does not have an on-campus stadium.
The link.
It will be at Lincoln Financial Field. This is one of the funniest non-conference games I've ever seen. Oklahoma, 21.5-point favorite. Temple. We said yeah.
I had not really talked to Casey Keeler. I spent a good amount of time with him at American Media Days. Came away pretty impressed with just like, hey, you can. People say that when you talk to coaches. Listen, you interact with some coaches, like, oh, if that's going to go bad. You can smell it very quickly. And I was very, very impressed with him. And Temple, who has been a disaster for a bit, just like immediately is crushing people. I don't care who you're playing. If you're Temple and you're rolling over teams, I don't care if it's UMass, like this is too many points. Temple here. Temple's covering this, no question.
We'll see. We got the big Auburn game next week at Oklahoma. Memphis at Troy. This is what I'm talking about. This is a big weekend for the American. You've got USF with Miami. You've got Memphis going to Troy here. Yes, Troy is not what it was, but they did just almost play Clemson. And it's on the road. If you're Memphis, you want to win this game because you've got Arkansas coming to your building in the not too distant future. Tulane, Duke. Like there are some games here where the American can really establish itself as the top group of 5 conference. Memphis has to go into Troy. You have to get that win. Similarly, Washington State at North Texas, the Eric Morris Bowl.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Exactly. I mean, should be some fun offensive schematics. We'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one where North Texas, like, if you think you're taking the step forward as the program you think you should be, this is a game where you either got to win or at least keep it close. The line
why
is
North Texas has not been one of the best G5 programs, or better than they have been for the last 20 years, is one of the big questions I have.
Yeah, I don't have the line here, but Washington State's been kind of up and down through 2 weeks. Iowa State at Arkansas State, just putting it here because it's a Big 12 team playing at a Sun Belt team, and I like that. And I think Arkansas State quarterback Jalen Rayner, really good quarterback. Iowa State's been pretty dang good this season. Curious if they keep it close. Could be just one to watch. FAU at FIU, the Shula Bowl. I put this here because Pitbull tweeted about it. The game,
Mr. Worldwide.
The game is at Pitbull Stadium, and Pitbull tweeted something like it said, like, "Damn, I love Miami," with like the graphic of this. So
we need a more Pitbull focused like FA or FIU program. Like,
dude, you know Pitbull's like
we need more.
You know Pitbull's like crazy popular with Gen Z. Like if you ever go onto TikTok, like there's a whole thing where people
TikTok, Chris.
There's a whole thing where people will dress up. Everybody will dress up as Pitbull to go to a Pitbull concert, like bald cap and everything. It's like a whole thing. Maybe FIU.
To that I say, Dolly. Let's keep it going.
FIU needs to get those kids in the stadium. That's what you got to do. Ohio at Ohio State, putting this here as a warning to Brutus Buckeye. Watch out for Ohio's mascot. I think it's.
Is it just
Rufus?
The Bobcat? Does he have a name?
Rufus the Bobcat.
Okay.
Our Zach Jackson wrote an incredible story about this in 2020. I think we're repurposing it this week. That iconic image of Rufus the Bobcat on top of a punch into Brutus the Buckeye's head. Iconic college football moment. If I'm an Ohio fan, I've got that thing framed up somewhere in my office. An incredible spot. I don't think Ohio keeps this close, even though I think Ohio is a decent team this year, as we saw beating West Virginia. And Minnesota at Cal, just putting this because I'm like, all right, let's see what you got, both of you guys. Like I'm intrigued. Both these teams are 2-0. Both of them are interesting. Minnesota's going out west. It's going to be a 10:30 Eastern kickoff.
I don't think I've really watched either of these teams. I don't think they've played anything.
I watched Cal. I watched Cal because they got the quarterback.
That's right. Week 1, I saw a little bit. I saw mostly clips. I wasn't watching a ton of that because I was on the road, but I saw clips of the throws. Yeah.
Yeah. So that could be an interesting game. So we will see about that. And with that, we're going to end the show the way we always do. And that is with a segment that we call Remember Some Guys.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
I'm going to go first. And since we got a big Texas A&M game this week, I'm going to go with former Texas A&M quarterback Stephen McGee. He was there in the mid-2000s. He beat Texas in 2006, a 12-7 victory. I remember waking up. That was like either Thanksgiving or the day after Thanksgiving, I think. I'm in high school. I remember waking up that morning and just turning that game on and not thinking it's going to be close, and then it just stays and stays and stays, and Texas A&M wins that game. And dual threat guy, fun guy. I did not realize he was a 4th-round pick in the NFL draft. Didn't play there much. A little bit of time in the CFL. Doesn't appear to be doing any football anymore. So Stephen McGee, you remember him, right? You covered that Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, Texas A&M, they've got so many quarterbacks in their history that like weren't very good that are still remembered very fondly. Stephen McGee is among those. Reggie McNeil. Gerard Johnson is like, I profiled him actually in like 2010. He had some shoulder issues that actually started kind of late in his A&M career, but he's like ascending up the coaching. He might be an NFL head coach like pretty soon. So there's a bunch of like A&M quarterbacks who weren't good in the traditional sense, but are remembered fondly. And, A&M's a different kind of place, but this is in the portal era. I've talked to so many like administrators and coaches about like, if you just have a place that's your home, you will be beloved there. If you're jumping around to 4 or 5, schools, like I had an administrator ask me like, where are you coming for homecoming? Where are you coming? Where do you bring your kids back to? It's a good question.
We were at the coaches convention, you and I, and it was Jay Norvell and Jason Eck on a panel about the portal. And I think it was Norvell who talked about there was somebody else on the panel. I forgot who it was, who was like, at a low point in my life, I turned to my college coach and he helped me get my life back together.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys aren't going to have those relationships, which is notable. We kind of got off track here, but Stephen McGee, fun to watch at Texas A&M, and he is fondly remembered in College Station.
Another guy fondly remembered, my guy, the wristband king, Tank Carter of TCU fame, was the defensive leader on the Rose Bowl team. I remember, I have a complicated relationship with the Rose Bowl. I do remember how disgusted so much of the sport was to have a Mountain West team playing in the Rose Bowl. It was very funny to me. Those TCU helmets with the frog with the rose in its mouth, iconic. I used those actually in NCAA football, like 2011. They had them on the game.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yes. Great helmets. I played. That was my online team that year with Casey Paul and who was his backup? I forget. Anyway, that was a fun team. Josh, what was his name? Receiver. Josh.
We don't need to. We're talking about Tank Carter.
Sorry. Anyway, Tank Carter, awesome linebacker, and wore more wristbands around his arms than any player I've ever seen in history. We need to find an image. I should have booted one up for us, Chris. But in that Rose Bowl game, he was fantastic. He had a great season, but that man had an addiction to Nike thin wristbands, and I love him for it. You know, if he was busting those out during camp, he had to have some absolutely hilarious tan lines. Old boy walking to the facility looking like a tiger. It'd be great.
Those putting the wristbands like on his biceps, like they were all up and down.
It was like literally like he was. If you count both arms, he was well past double digits.
Who was that? Who was that guy? There was a guy in Texas who did that like a year or two ago. Was doing the same thing.
Wasn't Anthony Hill, was it?
I don't remember who it was, but Tank Carter, he was the defensive MVP in that Rose Bowl. He knocked down the 2-point conversion thrown by, I think that was that the Jeff Tolzien Wisconsin team who they beat that year. Scott Tolzien, yes, because Russell Wilson was the next year.
Chris, where you at? Come on now.
I remember Tolzien. I don't remember his first name.
Jeff Tolzien, his younger brother, yeah.
We also got a listener submitted, David G, remembering Iowa State cornerback Leonard Johnson,
very good player.
Lockdown corner who covered Justin Blackman during Iowa State's upset of Oklahoma State in 2011, which completely reshaped the sport of college football.
And also,
wait,
was good from Quinn Sharp, just for the record.
Might have been. Love the pod. Keep up the great work, guys. David, again, you covered that kind of period of Big 12. Memories of Leonard Johnson.
Very good player. Probably one of, I don't know if he was I'd have to go back and look, but he was definitely one of the best defensive players, one of the best corners in the Big 12 that year. That Oklahoma State team was really, really good. A lot of points in that game, but I remember, I think it was 45-43, something like that. But I remember, it was not very easy for Oklahoma State. Had to rally there. Shout out to Jeff Woody, one of my favorite guys on that Iowa State team. The guy who scored the final touchdown. Nice guy. Corresponded a little bit with him over the years. And another guy who talked about, a legend in his hometown, Jeff Woody. If you live outside of Ames, people might not know who that guy is. If you talk to any Iowa State fan, they will, their eyes will light up if you mention Jeff Woody. So shout out to Leonard Johnson. Good player. I don't know what his pro career looked like, but. Yeah,
didn't look like a whole ton. He played about 6-7 years. He's a coaching assistant with the Bills now.
All right, sure.
At least according to Wikipedia.
Really good player.
So Stephen McGee, Tank Carter, Leonard Johnson, we remember you. And with that is going to do it for this episode. Reminder, we will be live on YouTube Saturday night. Bunch Formation After Dark, the Bunch Formation YouTube channel. Please subscribe to us there. And it's going to be a fun weekend. We're going to watch a lot of football. We're not going to be at any games, so we will have a lot to talk about. So for David Ubben, I'm Chris Vannini. We will talk to you hopefully on YouTube on Saturday night. And if not, we will talk to you on Monday.
And bring back the turnover chain. I've got it here if you need it. I'll bring it to you. Whatever we got to do.